Hello and welcome to Portman Road. Today we're going to be looking at some of the ground developments and the replacement of the pitch that's been happening in the off-season. It's our first visit to Portman Road since that wonderful day in late April 29th, when we beat Exeter City 6-0 to gain promotion to the Championship. As part of the Blues refurbishment of the ground, the club are bringing down the building in Russell Road. Many will remember it as Staples, to make way for a new entrance to the South Stand. This is where the entrance to the South Stand used to be. This is where I've queued up for well over 40 years now, but we'll be using the turnstiles that we'll be showing you in a few minutes that are directly behind the goal and that were in operation for the last few home games of the season. I've dropped in some artists' impressions of how the South Stand is going to look in future. One really important feature is that due to the extensive renovation works, the club were advised that the ashes of people previously interred at the stadium will inevitably be disturbed. In their memory, the club held a memorial service for their family members to attend. There will be the building of a memorial garden, which we will show you shortly. This is where I believe the memorial garden will be. My latest knowledge is that there is still some council permissions and planning regulations to be agreed before it can fully go ahead, but it is something that is moving day by day, so by the time you come and watch this vlog, the situation may be very different. We're now approaching a closed off area. Now this is where the new turnstiles will be, or I say new, they were used, as I said, for the last few games of the season. They are fully automated, but did cause some confusion on those occasions. This will allow a much greater area for fans to mingle before and after games, as well as allowing a better visual aspect of the South Stand from the station. The first home game of the season is August the 12th. That's about 4 weeks away, so there's quite a bit of work to be done. But the club have assured the fans that everything will be fine and dandy on the day. I've dropped in an artist's impression of how the memorial garden will look on completion. The club planned to relocate the earth from where the ashes were placed. A memorial garden at the rear of the Sir Ralph Ramsey stand or the South Stand, whichever you prefer. This part of the ground had a better feel last season with the introduction of the big screen that could show you, in some cases, replays of goals. There's always this debate with football fans. They like to see stuff going on at the ground, shall we say, new developments, improvements. That's all very welcome, but I guess that's always tempered with what is happening on the pitch. But certainly since our new American owners and having Mark Ashton as CEO, there certainly have been a lot of positive developments, not just around the team, which has now gained promotion to the Championship, but also around the ground, and we'll continue to look at those over the next few months. These murals have been a positive addition to the visual look of the ground since the new owners took over. I think they really add a positive impression of the ground, and you can see that they feature previous great managers and owners. We can see Sir Ralph Ramsey, winner of the First Division in 1962, who went on to manage England to their 1966 World Cup win, and then former owners like the Brewery family, the Cobbles. We can see Ray Crawford as the highest goal scorer for Ipswich with 227 goals, the golden days of the Bobby Robson era, and the highest crowd attendance, which was 38,010, and I remember that day in 1975. I was in the South Stand on that day and I was barely 12 years of age. I can remember that my feet hardly touched the ground for the whole of the game. It would never be allowed now under health and safety regulations. This is the first of 3 statues that you will see outside the ground. We'll feature all 3 today. This first one is of the legend, Sir Bobby Robson. He was manager of Ipswich Town from 1969 to 1982, which many will see as Ipswich's golden period, with a win in the FA Cup in 1978. We just saw the mural, 1-0 to Ipswich, Roger Osborne scoring, and the UEFA Cup in 1981, when we beat AZ Alkmaar. My inadequate words cannot do justice to this great man. And now we see our legend, Mick Mills, who's the longest serving player for Ipswich Town, with the most appearances. There's mention of that wonderful Wembley day in May 2000 when we beat Barnsley in the playoffs to gain promotion to the Premier League. One of only 2 visits to the Premier League that we have had. And then the European Tour in 2001-2, after finishing 5th the season before, when we gained some notable victories, though it was a bittersweet season, ending with relegation. And now we're coming up to the second of the statues. I've just seen a picture of Kevin Beattie, now we can see his statue. Voted as Ipswich's best ever player, I will also mention George Burley as well. Now on to the third and final statue, that of the legend Sir Ralph Ramsey. It's a difficult one to compare Ramsey v Sir Bobby Robson, who is the greatest Ipswich manager. Many would vote for Robson, as he managed us for a much longer period and saw that success with the FA Cup and the UEFA Cup. But of course, Sir Ralph Ramsey was here for a smaller amount of time, but we did win the old First Division, and then he went on to gain the World Cup as manager of England. This is one really for the players, ex-players and fans to decide. My vote would be for Sir Ralph Ramsey. I know many people would disagree with that and would go for Bobby, but please let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. And now we're going around the North Stand, the Sir Bobby Robson stand, and you can see this tile of our great day in May 1978 when we beat Arsenal 1-0 to win the FA Cup. Were you there on that day? There's one stat that I wasn't aware of, that in the 13 years Bobby Robson was here at Ipswich Town, he signed only 14 players, which sounds quite incredible. I guess that might suggest how much the game has changed over the last 40 years. And some praise indeed from arguably the greatest manager of all time, Sir Alex Ferguson. I love these memories of old games, and in particular this game where we beat Norwich in the year 2006. We beat them 3-1 through a Danny Haynes double, which just happened at the time to be my son's favourite Ipswich Town player. And here's another fine day in 1998, beating Norwich 5-0. Nothing better than beating Norwich, which I'm fully confident will happen next season twice. And that doesn't include any possible meetings in cup competitions. Now we can see the artificial pitch. I'll be honest here, it's not an area of the ground that I really come to, but I believe now on match days it really serves as an area for hospitality. And now we can see arguably or possibly our future owner of the club, Ed Sheeran. And one thing we have seen over the last few seasons with his involvement at the club and with sponsoring the shirts is that shirt sales have gone through the roof, especially the introduction of the all black kit last season. I believe for the black kit that he launched it on his own Instagram feed some days before the official launch by the club, and let's say the sales really took off. I'm lurking by the council offices just to show you some, well, maybe for some unusual views of the ground. I hope you appreciate them. Again, please let me know in the comments. These are the flexible and mobile lamps that keep the grass growing in the winter months. This is where they are stored. This is the new Travelodge, Ipswich Central, which has recently been completed and will be somewhere to stay for those visiting home and away fans. This is a look at the South Stand and the developments there from a different angle. We're directly behind the stand now, and this is the look that you may get from the station. Obviously the boarding is still up, but when this is down, this will give a much more open feel to the entrance. I dropped in a picture of what used to be here. Now it's this open aspect vista to the South Stand. It was for many years a branch of Staples, later rebranded as Office Outlet, but of course it's no longer here. I did mention that it was in the process of coming down earlier in the vlog. Of course it has been down for some time. We've taken you around the ground. I hope you've enjoyed that. And we've talked about the development here at the South Stand, the Sir Alf Ramsey stand. Of course, we need to talk about the relaying of the pitch. For obvious reasons, I'm not allowed into the ground to view how the pitch looks like, so I've shown you some sort of aerial views from our local newspaper that give an idea of what's going on at Portman Road during the off-season and the relaying of the pitch. I believe, and I quote, "Undersoil heating and high draining sand will be installed below a modern hybrid service, which is a combination of natural and artificial grass and served by a new sprinkler and anti-irrigation system." Well, that sounds really impressive, but I'll give you further updates when the season starts. So that's it from the Anglopreneurs. I hope you've enjoyed this short tour of Portman Road and to overlook what's happening or what's been happening in the off-season. And please remember that the new football season is just about 4 weeks away, and with the start of the new season there's always hope. But please be aware, if you're a fan of John Cleese's film Clockwise, it can be the hope that kills you.